Hello gamers, how you doing? My name is John and welcome to my Gamester81 show. In this episode I'm going to be doing an unboxing and review over the Supa Boy handheld system. Before I do that, before I jump into that, I do want to say a brief history leading up to how excited I am that the system actually came out. It started in 1995 when Sega introduced the Sega Nomad. If you guys aren't familiar with the Nomad, it's essentially a portable Sega Genesis. It will allow you to take Sega Genesis games on the go. It was only available, to my knowledge, only in North America. Unfortunately, it didn't do very well, but you could actually plug it into your TV. You could use it as a console. It had a second controller port, which you could play 2 players. Really ahead of its time. Really nice screen as well. Nice resolution screen. And during this time, I was really hoping that Nintendo would introduce their version of a portable Super Nintendo to compete with the Nomad. Unfortunately, that never happened. However, in a couple years back, about a year and a half ago, Yobo, who makes clone consoles today, introduced the FC16 Go, which was the very first portable Super Nintendo handheld. It's a pretty decent system. I did a review over that when it first came out, but there are some flaws to it, so it wasn't perfect by all means. And recently, Hyperkin, who's also a competitor to Yobo, actually introduced the Supa Boy, which is their version of the portable Super Nintendo. So that's what I'm going to review to you today. I'll compare both the FC16 Go to the Supa Boy, as I'll be as unbiased as possible and kind of explain to you which is better. There is a subtle price difference. The FC16 Go usually retails for, you can find them about $60, whereas in the Supa Boy is usually around $79.99 is what the price as. However, I found a great site which I picked mine up at with Allgengamers.com. I know I've mentioned them before, but it's a really fantastic, it's a smaller company. They actually price theirs at $74.99, so it's $5 less than where you can get it on Amazon or eBay or any other website that I've seen. So it's cheaper. They do a great job packing. I'll put a link. It's called StoneAgeGamer.com. I'll put a link, and they do a fantastic job. I can't recommend them enough. At the very end of the video, I'll do a comparison over each system, highlighting which is the pros and cons of both, and let you know my opinion on which one I recommend checking out. First thing I'm going to look at and compare is the package design and how it's packaged. Left here is a Yobo FC16 Go. To the right is a Supa Boy. As you can see, I personally think the Supa Boy is packed a lot nicer. It's a lot smaller box. You actually see the handheld itself, see how it's laid out. It looks like an oversized Super Nintendo controller, which looks really cool. FC16 Go, it's just got a generic box. Both systems have a 3.5-inch LCD screen. Both systems have rechargeable lithium batteries, and both batteries last, gameplay-wise, about 2 to 2.5 hours, which isn't bad, so they're both comparable in that sense. The FC16 Go comes in 3 colors. There's silver, charcoal, and red, whereas the Supa Boy just comes, as far as I know, in this normal color, this kind of a gray hint. But I like it because it's like a throwback to the Super Nintendo. I think it definitely fits. It's really cool looking. Let's open up the FC16 Go first. Let me show you the handheld briefly and go over the controllers that it comes with. So the package itself, it comes with the AC adapter. It comes with your typical headphones and all that good stuff. It comes with 2 of these controllers. The way it works is you can actually hook this up to your TV as well through the AV out, and you can use it as a console through the controllers. The wireless controllers. These actually use 2 AAA batteries. The lifetime on these batteries are up to 40 hours, I've heard, so they actually last quite a bit, and they automatically turn on when you sync it up to your system when the system's on, kind of like a Wii, essentially, right? Here's a BAYX, very similar layout to the standard Super Nintendo controller. Start and select are higher up rather than down below. It does feel like cheap plastic, very lightweight. It just kind of seems like very cheap plastic. Here's the handheld itself. It looks like an oversized Nintendo DS. Flap opens up. You got the 3.5-inch screen. This is where your 2 speakers are. You have your start, you have your reset, your select. Here's a D-pad and a BAYX. The buttons themselves are fairly responsive. I'm not a huge fan of the D-pad itself, to be honest with you. It just doesn't feel like a normal Nintendo D-pad, but it still works fairly well. On the side here, this is where you power it on, your LCD. You can actually switch to your TV, which would turn this screen off and go to your TV, which would save some battery life. This is where you sync up your 2 controllers. This would light up when it's synced up. You have your DC, this is AC adapter out. This is either your headphone jack or your TV audio. You can hook up to your TV through an AV jack. Okay. So when you're playing this and you're listening to headphones, it definitely saves the battery rather than playing it through the actual system. On the top, this is your left-right bumper buttons here. And they're kind of small. There's not much room, especially when there's a cartridge in there. There's not much room as far as for your fingers to really move. But that's where the cartridge actually goes. And that's an overview of the FC16 Go. As far as the box goes for the FC16 Go, this is the front. On the back, it shows you how to hook up the things. Got bullet points as far as earphone included, fully functional built-in joypad, Super Nintendo 16-bit compatibility, incredible 3.5 LCD display. So that, made in China, all that good stuff. So pretty basic, but still tells you what you need. Here is the Supa Boy, for example. Now let's move on to the Supa Boy. It's got a nice plastic case here, which is nice. Definitely higher quality in my opinion. You get your TV output. This plays Super Nintendo and Super Famicom games, which is huge because the FC16 Go does not play Super Famicom games. That opens up an incredible library that games that were not released for the Super Nintendo. So right there, that's a huge plus for the Supa Boy, and definitely worth the extra $5 difference in my personal opinion, just right there. Here's the back. It's in a whole bunch of different languages: Spanish, French. It looks like Italian, Japanese. This is the layout of the system itself. Next slide. Let's open this up. Okay, open this up. This kind of slides out. This tray here. This opens up here. Let's see what else we get. Okay, so looks like we've got the battery, which will need to be charged in order to play. Again, as I mentioned before, the battery life is approximately 2.5 hours. Here's the AC adapter. Plugs right in there. This is the AV out. This plugs into the AV out, so you can plug it. It's got the red, white, and yellow cables, so it's stereo. That's cool. Look at this. This is kind of cool. This comes with a nice little pouch too. That's nice added bonus. You can take a dig out. It says SupaBoy Hyperkin. That's nice. I didn't even realize that was included. It doesn't look like there are any headphones included with this, unfortunately, but headphones are a dime a dozen. You can get them pretty much anywhere, so that's a knock on this. As far as the handheld goes itself, I can tell you it feels very similar to Super Nintendo controller. Same kind of plastic, hard plastic. It's got, let's see, here's your directional pad. It feels like a Super Nintendo controller. These are the buttons here. From what I can see, they push very nice. Get reset button. This is your 3.5-inch monitor here, screen. Let's peel this off. This is a protective layer there. It's got your two speakers here. This is nice. Now they kind of went a different approach here because they decided to add the two controllers. So this is I prefer this, to be honest with you, because you can actually, like, if you had a Super Nintendo mouse, you can use that, whereas in FC16 Go you can't because it's not wireless, it's not compatible. So you actually can use Nintendo products and controllers for this, which is a huge bonus to me. That is definitely worth it right there. Get the LED right here, light, volume. This is your headphone jack. Got your start and select up top left here. So usually it would be like on the bottom here. They decided to put on the top left corner. Your on and off, your AV out, and your DC in. So that's cool. Your AV out is not the same one as your headphone jack, which is nice. And your DC in's up top. Games would plug in here. And these D-pads or these bumpers right here, your left-right bumpers, they're actually positioned a little bit more to the right and left, so you have a little bit more room to use them. That's cool. This is that's interesting. Maybe that's a lock mechanism, or I'm not quite sure what that does. I have to look to see what this slide ends up doing. This is where your battery would go. That's the Supa Boy. Oh, and one thing I want to mention also, it's got these nice little grooves here, so you actually can put your fingers here. It's kind of holds nicely, so that's kind of a nice, it's very comfortable to hold, and it's definitely doesn't feel cheap, if you catch what I'm saying. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how these actually play and handle actual cartridges and how they compare with each other side by side.